So it's been a while since I last did one of these, and well, I've been feeling fairly good about my shooting recently, so I thought I'd make another shooting log or a practice video. Unfortunately, I've picked a pretty bad day to do so, and this particular practice session will be quite short, as you can probably see from the weather in the background. As you can probably hear from the video now, it's extremely windy. It's been a strange spring. We've had a warm spell for the last week with 30 degrees plus on a couple of days, and now it's a huge winter snap, so it's a little miserable, not cold, but the rain and wind certainly weren't appealing this session, and I knew I had limited time. I wanted to confirm my sight settings up to 60 meters for upcoming club championship, and I just wanted this for outdoor shooting to reinforce some of the things I've been working on. So I'm starting at 10 meters first as a warm-up, and to make sure that my technique is in a fairly decent shape. Not sure if it actually is. I've been paying attention to things like my stance, my anchor point in the string, a bit more in front of my chin rather than to the side for better alignment, and focus a bit more on the push and pull to get the back tension right and get a clean shot. Can't say I really did a lot of that in this practice session. I felt it was better on the weekend with better weather, with no wind. This time it was just really hard to focus on good technique when the wind's knocking around so much. So it's not quality shooting, so this is more of a, I wish I did better, but what could I do sort of video. The grouping at 10 meters is fairly deplorable. Obviously you can do much better at 10 meters, but again, extremely windy, very hard to stay on target. This was just a warm-up, and we'll push it back to 20 meters, and we'll keep on going back as long as we can achieve a reasonable grouping. At 20 meters, you can see that the grouping is okay. Again, really windy. You can actually see the effect of the crosswind. The arrows are being blown off to the right, and that's something which you have to consider when shooting in windy conditions. This is only 20 meters. At further distances, the effect will be amplified. And I did have a brain fade. For some reason, I was using my 30 meter sight setting for a 20 meter target, despite knowing I pushed it to 20 meters. So I'm going to redo this just to double check that I'm not going crazy. So again, as you can see, not great. On any given day, I should be able to hit the 10 ring nearly 10 out of 10 times. So that crosswind is really doing a head in, but at least we know the sight is correct. So we'll move on to 30 meters. The grouping at 30 meters was much better. Of course, I could expect this at a normal day, but given the conditions, it was really challenging. I was starting to feel quite fatigued to hold the bow up and shoot in windy conditions, and there was one flyer, but otherwise this was pretty acceptable. We pushed it back to 40 meters. Despite starting strong in the first shot, I did go off target on the 40 meter distance. There was a bit of a group, but I was getting frustrated, and you can see my last shot floated way to the right. Really hard to diagnose what's going on here. We've got some crosswind, we've got some tailwind, and my form is starting to slip because of the frustration. So some complex things going on here. I'm gonna push out to 50 meters to see how I do, but I can tell at this point that I'm getting tired and I'm not consolidating my form. So after a few attempts, I eventually decide to give up. And pretty much at this point I was cramping up, I wasn't expanding well, I was just chucking arrows downrange and wasn't really doing anything accurate. So yeah, that was pretty much a sign to go home, and if that wasn't enough, then the wind knocking the camera over was probably a sign that things were looking pretty bad. And looking up the sky, it was pretty evident that the storm was coming in, so we had to pack it up post haste. I was disappointed today. I was hoping I would consolidate the good form I've been practicing and paying more attention to my process, and especially finding a good rhythm, but today wasn't it. It's really hard to train and win, especially when you're learning something new or developing a skill. It's probably best that I didn't push through this, and hopefully next time I'll come back and do better.